Malema, you are thicker than thick. I always believed you were thick. And when you made death threats against my name, I realized how thick you are. To now suggest that the COVID-19 Chinese virus got brought into South Africa by white people. What else are you going to blame us for? Why don't you tell us what white people did in this country? Hey Malema, why don't you say whites did this, whites did this, whites built roads, whites built schools, whites built universities? You're an absolute prick, Malema. A prick who's trying to destroy our nation. But we've got your number, brother.
Don't worry. Good evening. Yeah, hello. Okay. No problem. Okay, good evening to all. And I hope you're all well. I hope you're all in a good mood. And I hope you're going to stay in a good mood. Okay, we just got back to the guest house we're staying in tonight. Lovely place. And very neat in Bloemfontein. People are very friendly. And they know what our mission is, without even have to tell them. So it's nice. These are the COVID forms you have to fill in. We'll fill in later. Okay. South Africa, we have got an unfortunate dick. And if I do swear tonight, please forgive me. I'll try not to swear tomorrow. But some of the words I'm going to use for this prick are not going to be straight out of the Oxford Dictionary. I don't think I'm going to. I'm going to try not to. But saying that, I don't think I'm angry tonight. I think I'm disappointed in a lot of people in this country. I just want to start off with a small little story. Our pastor, one of our pastors at the RAEL rehab, went away for a while, and he stayed at home, and he got sick. He collapsed, and he got sick, and they took him to Paarl Hospital, the provincial hospital. And you know him, that's Pastor Curly Malchus, Angus's dad. So I gave Angus the week off, 4 days off, to go and see his dad. Couldn't go into the hospital, but he could look after his mother. His dad phoned Dr. Rihanna today, my girlfriend, and said, of the 6 people that were in his ward, now this is a man of God, and I'm telling you, if I come close and close to a man of God, that's probably the closest I've ever come to a man of God in my life. And he said he had to go there, to that hospital, for a reason. Of the 6 people in his ward, he's 71. Of the 6 people in his ward, 5 died. 5 died in 3 days. I'll tell you how the one died, which I find very... It just gave me cold shivers and wanted me to get closer to the Lord. They all knew he was a pastor, so he was praying for the nurses, because that's Pastor Malchus, because that's the way he is. He was praying for the doctors, and he was praying for the patients. And he got to one colored man, and the colored man asked him, which is not neither here nor there, whether he's colored, black or pink, like Mr. Malema's got to think. But there's a moral here. And he got to this colored man, and this colored man said to him, "Kan ek asseblief bid?" Pastor was about to pray for him. This is what happened, ladies and gentlemen. The man said the following words: "Liewe Jesus." And Pastor Kearney said he went quiet and he died. he found God, or he reassured his position in heaven, a half a minute before he died. There is, I believe, a Dr. Latergan at Paarl Hospital that Dr. Detroit tried to get hold of today. And I believe this Dr. Latergan should be honored in the way that she treats people and the way that she treats patients of the Paarl Hospital. So if anyone knows Dr. Latergan, it's a lady doctor, please would you ask her to contact me or contact Rihanna, because we want to pay respects to this doctor. After hearing from Pastor Kearney, one of the most honest men, the most honest, probably the most honest man of God I've ever met in my entire life. And that's why he was the right-hand man of Graham Beck, who was a fairly good businessman in his day. Then we got, after hearing that, we listened to the speech of that little clown. That clown has been quiet for a couple of months. This is how it evolved. At the age of 9, he was a little pickaninny. He then, in 1990, Mandela was released. Little Malema was 9 years old. He joined, later on, he went to school for a bit, but he wasn't too good in school. But I can't knock him with that, because nor was I. He then joined the ANC Youth League. He then joined up with, Graham, do you have the cool drink there, bro? He then joined up with Jacob Zuma. And his famous words outside the North Gauteng High Court, when Jacob Zuma was up on various charges, he said, I would die for Jacob Zuma. So, a couple of months later, when the shit really hit the fan, he goes and makes out the EFF. A Jewish man, Mr. Kirsch, gives this little punk 9 million rand. Then various people like the cigarette smuggler, Mrs. Zuma's friend, gives him millions. He lands up, I'm taking the long story short here. He lands up, this prick, with a 16 million rand tax from being his job as a member of the South African Parliament. Now, Cyril Ramaphosa earns 2.9 million rand a year. He probably doesn't need the money, but he obviously likes a lot of money. As we go further down the line, the farm murders start. There's a big outcry from the South African Afrikaner, South African white people, and it develops into Senekal. And I go to Senekal with Graham and one or two bodyguards, because we knew it was going to get a bit heavy. I then get on the back of a bakkie, because that was the stage. And I gave, I believe, I only had a short time, 3 or 4 minutes, but I gave one of the best speeches in 3 or 4 minutes that I could possibly give in my lifetime, where I condemned Malema in public. I condemned Becky Chelly. I condemned Cyril Ramaphosa. Unlike any other person who stood on the back of that bakkie. No one had the guts, and I'm saying it right straight out now, because tonight I'm sick and tired of these bastards. No one had the guts to say what I said about Malema. No one had the guts to say what I said about Ramaphosa. And no one had the guts to say what I said about Becky Chelly. From leaving Senekal, the death threat started. Then the EFF went as far as put my face on their website, excuse me, and on their Facebook page, and put the EFF's most wanted. It was me. Then Senekal 2 came. And people asked me, am I going to go to Senekal 2? We were halfway through from Cape Town to Senekal 2, and we got a call. And that call was from my pastor, not Pastor Malchas. We've got 3 pastors there. The one is now retired, but she still comes around. And she said to me, Anthony, the Holy Spirit has spoken to her, don't go there. Don't go to Senekal. I said to her, Katrina, she said, don't go there. I'd already felt in myself, in my spirit, that my presence there would be a shooting target. And I called out in a video a week before that we need unity before we enter Senekal. We need to cut off escape routes. We need to make escape routes. We need to have snipers on the mountains. And we need to be fully armed, that if there was a full-out attack, that we were armed to take the lives of those people who were trying to take ours. I turned around, we turned around and we came back, and I went to Mossel Bay. The whole thing led up to anthonyhall, don't go. Don't go. And I fought with the Holy Spirit that I wanted to go. But in retrospect, if I look at Senekal 2, thank God I didn't go. It was a shambles. It was badly organized. People could have lost their lives. And I was still on the website of the EFF as their most wanted after one 4-minute speech. Then became the farm murders. And that caused outrage. After Brendan Horner was killed, the farm murders were outraged, and then came the fires in the Free State. Myself and my team drove from Cape Town to the Free State 3 times. We made a donation to the Free State farmers. I made a donation to Droogte Help, a fairly substantial donation. We drove on cool drinks to the firefighters and to the people that were loading the feed for the animals that hadn't perished. And I was awake with Graham and Lavis with an hour in between sleeping for 4 days. We slept for 2 hours, slept for an hour, and we were tired. We knew wherever we went to, we knew that our lives were in extreme danger. We didn't give people our position. We turned our cell phones off at night. We had one cell phone that no one knew about. The only person who had that number was a person who could contact me if my farm or my mother, if something happened to her. That is the only protection we had besides God's protection. We got slammed on various fronts when another murder happened there in Henneman. And I gave a speech to what turned out to be mainly attended by the ultra-right. But I gave my speech, and I gave exactly what I wanted to say, without fear or favor. We did have some social commentators there, but I don't do social commentators. I watch the news, or I listen to myself. I'd like to believe, ladies and gentlemen, is what we did for the farmers, by the grace of the living God, besides droogtehelp and the people from the Free State, and some people who came there to do something but they left very quickly, was unprecedented in this country. What did I have to gain to put my life on the line to stay in a different hotel every night in the Free State? I couldn't stay in the same hotel. We had to check that we weren't followed, and we never ever took the same route. After the Henneman speech, Julius Malema came out screaming and shouting about everything that he could scream and shout about. It then went with Malema in Senekal having lost the battle. He lost Senekal 1. Senekal 2, you can say, was a draw. Then Julius Malema gave the instruction to take on Brackenfell High School. I may be telling you things you're going to hear for the first time tonight, South Africa. Photographs of my daughter who attended Brackenfell High School were sent to my cell phone. My daughter had to go on antidepressant tablets. My daughter had to go on anxiety tablets. My daughter is 15 years old. The EFF had infiltrated the school where my daughter went to, and no one knew what was going on. I phoned the headmaster of Brackenfell High School, and I let it known to him and the doctor who was head of this governing board to get, as soon as possible, which was, I was talking immediately, get to the Cape Town High Court and get an interdict against the EFF for threatening, inciting violence, and an illegal march. They refused. I then called on Premier Alan Winde from the Democratic Alliance in a video. The video was made in Graafrenet, and I called him to immediately, the next morning, go to the Western Cape High Court and obtain an interdict. He then came out a couple of days later and said that they've applied for the interdict and they will get the interdict. I then started receiving more photographs of my daughter. I then made a video with Alan Winde, and I mentioned some stuff in there that was defamatory, it was libelous, and it was derogatory. And if Alan Winde didn't think it was true, he would have taken me to the Cape Town High Court. They then, with Debbie Schaefer, the Minister of Education, local Minister of Education, who I asked her repeatedly, because I got some friends there in the government, I asked her repeatedly, go and get an interdict at the Western Cape High Court. They stalled. They thought this was a joke. They thought it was a once-off from the EFF, and the EFF was going to leave my child and other children alone. Comes Judgment Day. Now I know, I don't have, many people think on this platform, yeah, I lose my temper. I haven't lost my temper in 16 years. I will flip my top for something, yes. But I've never lost my temper in 16 years. And I pray I don't lose it. But I warn people in the government that if anything must happen to my daughter, I'm going to go on a killing spree. Yes, my friends, I said that. I'm going to go on a killing spree. Because I've warned, and I've warned, and I've warned, and no one wants to take note. Come to Judgment Day in the court, where it was said, oh, well, We've got the internet. This is Premier Windy. This is sometimes what we don't read in the newspapers. Premier Windy and Deborah Schaefer will get the internet. Well, ladies and gentlemen, let me put it to you this way. The internet was denied. So what happens? The EFF come back to the school. I phone the headmaster and I tell him I'm taking the mother of my child, who I get on very well with, phoned the headmaster and asked him, should the pupils, didn't say who was speaking, and she's a tax manageress of her own firm, very well respected person in a field of expertise, and asked the headmaster, because my daughter is a gazelle just under a Springbok toe trekker, even though she's mine. Do we send our children to school tomorrow? I said to Azalda, you phone, because we're not going to last a minute on that phone, and I'm going to be telling him exactly what day of the week it is. She phoned, and the headmaster said, it's no problem, bring your children. Her words, not mine, her words then, to this headmaster, do you know that Amy, her daughter and my daughter, Anthony Hall is Amy's father? She said this man felt like he was having a nervous breakdown on the other side of the phone and said, please, please, keep your daughter out of school. You ask yourself the question, he was prepared to keep my daughter out of school and sacrifice the rest of the scholars of Brackenfell High School. Weak leadership. When Serge Desai gave the order in the Western Cape High Court, he put it clear that the order was not presented properly. And I'm sorry, my friends. I've known law, and I've been working with lawyers from William Booth for years. Ruben Liddell, the best of the best. Michael Donan. But I'm afraid, my friends, when you go to the Western Cape High Court to get a court order for school children, you take the best advocates available. Those advocates I've never heard of. You take the Jeremy Gauntlets, you take the Ruben Liddells, you take the William Booths, you take the people that know, the Michael Donans, because these are our children. So it was Brackenfell 1, EFF 0. Second time round, 1-1. They go into the streets, cause mayhem on the way down to the train station and the taxi station. I did not see Alan Windy there. I did not see the Premier of the Western Cape there. In actual fact, I don't know when last I saw the Premier of the Western Cape or the Mayor of Cape Town. Don't call me COVID. Don't make every excuse COVID, because there's other people running around. So that was settled. The dust was settled. One or two more things from Julius Malema, and he goes into hiding from the end of November. I lay charges against him. The Hawks have got my charges. And then he has the audacity to lay charges against me of criminal injuria, because I called him a small syndrome. He suffers from small dick syndrome. He went to go lay charges against me at Senegal. So I laid charges against him of incitement to violence, incitement about my daughter, and the threats that he had made to me. It was already even put over Facebook. I know where this man lives. Graham's daughter was threatened. She's 1 year old. Graham's girlfriend of 18 was threatened. 19, sorry. This is how bad it was getting. And at this stage we had no leadership And I've got nothing against Alan Winde. I don't know him because I never see him. And Dan Plato. Dan Plato cannot be trusted. Nor can Alan Winde. They talk and they got a little bit of good news, but you can't trust it. So today we hear the speech of Julius Malema. I want to start with the first part of it. I'm not going to go into every detail. I'm not going to discuss the local elections here because I've got my point on that, and I'm going to do it in depth. So when I come to you, I've got all the facts. It is a long explanation. I'm not going to go there. I think it will happen though. It may suit people who say they want it, but they don't actually want it. Trust me what I'm telling you. Julius Malema, that little butternut, has got the audacity to say that white people brought the coronavirus, Chinese virus, into South Africa. He should immediately be charged with hate speech. Our political party shouldn't have waited for the cameras. They should have been straight at the police stations. Alan Winde's house is just down the road from Cape Town, from Cape Town Central. John Steenhuisen could have gone straight and laid charges against Julius Malema. Not wait for tomorrow. Not wait for tomorrow. That whites. So it's hate speech against white people. It's the same as this man saying that black people brought AIDS into South Africa. If I must make a statement, and I'm saying this hypothetically, if I must make the statement that black people brought AIDS into South Africa, I will be locked up. I will have to fight for bail. And I would be charged by the Human Rights Commission. It's a total hate. Does this little pumpkin head think that every state in Africa had white men and women going in there to get and give people, black people, the coronavirus? And the border. He's saying that people must come from the border because he wants a free Africa. He wants to be president of Africa. He wants to be like his hero, that dickhead that died in Singapore because hospitals, people didn't have medicine in the Zimbabwe hospitals. Robert McBride Mugabe. So he gets away with that. Now I want to tell you something, Julius fucking Malema. Now listen to me carefully, you little fuck, because I know all your people listen to me. You say that you want to open those borders to let the black people in from Zimbabwe and Mozambique who are not being tested, and they haven't got corona, they got nothing, there's nothing wrong with them. And the only reason that our government has closed those borders is because they're scared of the white people who come onto the aeroplane and come in from the aeroplane. Now listen, you stupid fucking waste of actually oxygen. I've never hated a man in my life, but I hate you. I hate you. What you did to my daughter. One day I will speak to you eye to eye, you little fuck. When last did you fly, or did you fly first class? Because the last couple of times I've flown, including 4 weeks ago, of maybe the 300 people on that flight, 10 at the most, were white. The last time I went to a casino, I did not see a white person working. But I saw a lot of white people and black people and colored people playing. The last time I went to a restaurant, I can't remember when I was served by a person who wasn't black. So why would you now say in your simple half-brain mind that the whites brought it in, and then the further stupid statement from your illiterate mind, Julius Malema, you're an illiterate man, you target men's children. I will never forget that. I promise you, my brother, I will never forget that. Woe be tired. And I'm not just saying this because I'm on the camera. Woe be tired anything happens to my daughter. I'm going to hunt you down till you're fucking dead. I promise you that, sir. I promise you that. Now you don't want to say that the Chinese virus comes from Wuhan in China because you get money from China. In your beautiful state presidential speech today, where it looks like you've lost more weight, I hope you don't suffer from one of those diseases you thinking the white people bring in. Why did you not mention where is the 500 billion that could have saved South Africans' lives? You know why, Mr. Malema? Because you are part of the conspiracy at the VBS Bank, at the theft from union buildings. That's where the money has gone. It's gone to you, it's gone to Floyd Chibangu, and it's gone to Dr. Nklozi. Now, if I am talking nonsense, take me to court. Sue me. Sue me and I will bring the evidence, and I will bring the people who tell me, and I'll bring the people that you think that are close to you, but they actually hate your guts. So by you running us white people down, did you take into account, Malema, the number of white people, the number of colored people, the number of Indian people, and the number of black people that have lost their lives due to the Chinese virus? But you want to sow so much hate that you want your illiterate following, yes, that's it, your illiterate, uneducated following, to sit in their kraals or their houses or their tents, wherever they're sitting tonight. In their shacks, I don't care. If they follow you, I don't care where they sit. You want them to believe that it's the white man killing the black man. And that's why the black man must go out and kill the farmers, kill the women in their houses, kill the old people in the old age homes. That is your motive. We work out your motive, Malema. We work out your modus operandi, because there's two things that makes a difference. I've got fucking brains, and I've got a white skin, and you got a black skin, and you got no brains. Don't ever accuse my white nation of bringing in a disease or an illness to kill your black people or black people of this country. I love my black friends, but I can't get it over me to love or to like you. Another thing, Malema, you said to me last month, not you, one of your spokespeople who don't get paid. Remember not paying them 2 months ago? Remember that? Remember that scandal? Remember why some people, Andili and them, left the EFF? Remember why they left the EFF? Didn't get their money? You remember that? Okay. You would speak to me face to face, round about the 15th. You didn't speak to me. You got some handlanger to speak to me. I'm in Johannesburg. I'm not in Cape Town at the moment. I'm in Bloemfontein now, and I'll be Johannesburg tomorrow. Meet me. Meet me, you little fuck. Come with 50 bodyguards, I'll come with none. I challenge you now in front of all these people, because I know people who watch my program that are so deep up your ass until they finally realize what a dick you are. I challenge you to meet me at the Sandton Sun tomorrow at 3 o'clock. I'm giving you an official challenge. You can leave cell phones behind, you can leave cameras. I don't want to be photographed with you. To meet me at the Sandton Sun tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Let's see what a big face you are, Malema. Let you tell me, I'll show you photographs of my daughter. Let me get your response while you look into these eyes. You're not going to sow hatred. If you say that the white people had brought in the coronavirus, you know what you brought into the world when you were born? You brought in hate. 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 And more hate. You're a terrible human being. I've asked and I've prayed for you, Malema. I've said it publicly. I've prayed for you. And I've asked you to change your life. I've asked the Holy Spirit to touch you. Because you continue like this, you're surely going to burn in the pit of hell. Times are coming up, Julius Malema, that you're not going to go around and think that you can just take people out, and that you think that you can just go to people's schools, and that you can run down farmers' loved ones who are mourning the death of their husbands or their sons, and you can come with your rhetoric that you want the borders opened of other people from other countries to already come and swamp a country that is on its economic knees, to destroy the economy further and make people more violent, more desperate, more drugs, more Niobe, and more chaos. Malema, if you don't meet me tomorrow at 3 o'clock, I'll come with one person, that's fine. Because I doubt you got a gun on you to shoot me. Maybe one of you barasa with. At least we can get you out for murder. Let me remind you, Mr. Malema, I was in the murder and robbery squad for a long time. I know how to put a bullet in a man's head. I hope you do. You want war? You want war, Malema? Because you're pushing us white South Africans. And you're pushing us and pushing us and pushing us. But you are not further anymore going to torment the white and colored South Africans. Your days of running white and colored South Africans down are finito, are over, are forbye. Remember the saying when you go to bed tonight, Malema, because I know you're watching. You're going to be forbye met Doris Day. Remember that. And go Google who Doris Day is, because you haven't got a fucking clue she is. The day of the threatening, and I'm standing up for the white man, I'm standing up for the colored man, I'm standing up for the Indian man, and I'm standing up for the black men that can't stand your guts, that actually hate you. And this is not a speech to get votes. I'm a humanist before I'm a politician. This is a speech to tell you, Malema, it's time's over. I'm 57 next month. God spares me, I've got 15, 20 years, that's all. And I'm not going to see you. I'm going to do everything in my power. And now I'm not threatening you, I'm telling you. I'm going to do everything in my power, Malema, to take you off your little castle that you're sitting in. Not violently. I hung my guns up 16, 17 years ago. Because I know how you twist things. So you go pay the VBS fucking bank back. You go pay your 16 million rand tax back. And you go and tell your little supporters that don't know the difference between right and wrong, that the white man did not bring in. The virus came, it was made in Wuhan. And you tell them the exact truth. Because if you haven't made a public statement by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, I'm going to charge you with hate speech. I'm not going to show I'm as weak as the DA, and I'm not as weak as other leaders in this country. But by mere saying that the white people brought it into this country and infected black people, it's tantamount to war. I will continue with the local elections, and I will continue with further mental observations that this madman made, that should be on medication and should be put permanently into a mental home. I mean that. Man's mad. I'll see you later in about half an hour. God bless.